Why re-gear? Because I rarely go 135 miles an hour, but I often go 2 miles an hour. And knowing that when going 135 miles an hour, the Norden still has more to give, it's not at the red line, and the only thing keeping it from going any faster is the computer, then the question becomes, why not go 1 tooth lower in the front? The Husqvarna Norden 901 comes stock with a 118 link, 520 pitch chain, riding on a 45 tooth rear sprocket and a 16 tooth drive sprocket. And if I have to be honest, it's not bad at all. But for $21, could it be better? Now, after 7,500 miles with the stock gearing, I was willing to try it out. Improving my tractor factor without limiting my top speed is the goal, and it's an easy goal to achieve. It's a 20-minute job to change out the sprocket, or a 15-minute job if you have the center stand. You can keep the stock chain, you don't need to remove any links, just readjust the tension when putting everything back together. Now, if you don't have an impact gun, they sell a device called a sprocket jammer that costs $20, or about 95% of the part you're trying to install. Or, instead of spending $20, you could spend 20 seconds in your garage and find literally anything that fits in between your sprocket and your chain. Oh, the shit people buy. SMH. They even make a rubber dampened sprocket with 15 teeth, so I can keep the chain noise to a minimum, just like the OEM part. So, what's the verdict? Well, it's not really noticeable in the higher gears, exactly where I didn't want it to be noticeable. But down low, it's a game changer. When the slow gets going, I'm using my clutch about half as much on the trails. Power wheelies are now a first, second, and third gear affair. And my tractor factor puts John Deere, Kubota, and Massey Ferguson to shame. So, what are the downsides? Well, first, I'm out 21 bucks. Second, 6th gear is more used on the freeway now. It's not that big of a difference in RPMs or MPGs. And the third downside is that I had to make a video about it. Why not just change out the rear? Well, because I'm cheap, and playing around with one's rear can be complicated. It is also an option, but usually costs a lot more. Not only because rear sprockets cost 2 to 3 times as much, but because you also need a new, longer chain, and it's always a good idea to replace your sprocket hardware every time you change out the rear sprocket. If you're curious, maybe it's your first time and just seeing what it's all about. Well, for now, pretend that you're happy with whatever access you get to the front, and forget about the rear. Besides, $21 for the front versus $150 for the rear? Feel free to insert your jokes here. Well, if you couldn't tell, I'm a big fan of this simple modification. And if, for some reason, in the future, I hate it, it'll only cost me about 15 minutes and a sacrificial jamming stick to go back. Thanks for watching. Happy squatching.